Love it. Let's hop in. It's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
You bet. So I always begin with this question, and it's the pandemic question. 6 years ago, it was totally raging, changing our lives. How did you get through the pandemic era, and how has it changed the way that you approach things today?
Okay. So we were actually in Houston and I was working from home 100% anyway.
Hmm.
And the weird part was I'd heard a little bit about it. I'd already stopped watching the news. I don't watch the news at all. So my husband had come home and he's like, this is what's going on. They're talking about this social distance thing. We'll see what happens. And then he came home 2 days later and he's like, there's literally no food at the grocery store. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's no chicken and there's no vegetables. I'm like, what? And then the next day they shut it down. Like you couldn't go anywhere. And then it was just weird to not be able to get food.
Yeah.
Now, like, a few days later, okay, we go back and everything's okay. But even to think for a few days, like, there's no food at the grocery store. This is
Yeah.
very odd.
Yeah.
Toilet paper I can deal with, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of, I was able to go outside a lot, which helped. And I
Yeah.
was already working from home. So I wasn't in it didn't feel as restrictive to me, I guess. And so we also had friends like that would come over and we would all sit in the front yard kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So as odd as it sounds, I don't think we were as affected as much as like his cousins who were in Italy and they were close to ground zero in Italy. They couldn't leave their house for weeks. And so I feel like we kind of had it easy comparative to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, I think the biggest thing there to me was how many people just didn't really consider what other situation that someone else might be in,
Hmm.
either logistically, financially, or how they felt about maybe getting sick or not being sick. It was really interesting to hear people say that if you get sick, it's because you had some sort of condition that you brought upon yourself. I'm like, well, that's awful nice to talk about at church, huh?
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, I think it was like my final break with a lot of things that I used to consider at least somewhat decently certain. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, all
Yep.
right.
Yeah, that profound lack of empathy, which has extended into today and to certain degrees, is very, very strange that people
Yeah.
just ought to. Because the thing that's, if people really thought logically about things, from what I know about COVID, I got COVID early on with my son, and we kind of stayed
Okay.
downstairs. And my wife and mother-in-law and stepdaughter, they were upstairs primarily, and they didn't get it, but we got it. And the weird thing is that my mother-in-law was really big about getting the booster shots, but she'd still get it. So there's this mysterious thing and way that this virus spreads.
Yeah.
Yeah, those that were unhealthy, those that were very overweight, those that had had some level of, cancer things before,
Hmm.
they were more susceptible. But was it anybody's fault? No. And but the mysterious nature of this virus, there was no rhyme or reason to it at all,
No.
you know.
No,
But
and I knew people who, a guy we went to school with, he died. And he was, God, how old were we? Like he was 48, I want to say. Good shape, played basketball his whole life, good lungs, you know, died in the emergency room. It was crazy. Like, so people would come back and say, oh, it's old people. And then my grandparents got really sick because they went to a huge singing concert because they were like, well, we'll be fine. This is over. And they were sick for 3 months.
wow.
So it was just interesting. Yeah, to hear like we all know we have our own beliefs and our own biases, right? And they usually at the end of the day are what's convenient for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I really don't want to stay home, so I don't believe in COVID. Like, okay.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like I want to go to the beach. I want to go on vacation. Oh my God. One of my friends went on vacation and died a week later. Literally, she died a week later. So it was just such a confirmation bias, I think, to point out. And you really see, even in myself, right? Like what am I drawn to? What do I automatically believe is true just because of who said it or how they said it? Or do I want to, think this is true or that is true? Or, like if you were I was standing in the grocery store in line and somebody was wearing their mask and this lady started yelling at him that we don't live in a communist country. And I'm like, well, it's a free country. He can wear his mask if he wants to wear his mask. He might
Sure,
have the flu.
sure.
It was just interesting to see how people really needed certain things to be true
Hmm.
and how how we can get so wrapped up in needing something to be true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally true. So let me ask you this. Let's get into the joy experiment. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's career day, and one of the kids wants to know what you do for a living. How do you answer that child?
Yes. I tell that child I help adults create a life and business that they actually like.
So what did you want to be when you were a kid? When you were 12, 13, 14 years old, what was the dream gig?
Oh gosh. So I wanted to be Mary Lou Retton for a really, really long time.
Right.
I don't know if you remember her, a
Oh, of
gymnast,
course. I'm an
which isn't
80s
really a
baby.
career, but yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right. 1984 Olympics, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and then I was gonna do environmental science. Um, I wanted to do that for a while. We went to every university we went to visit. The environmental science department also smelled like marijuana, which is fine, but my
Yeah.
mother was not fine with this, so that kind of got squashed. And then I was just like, I don't know what I want to do. So which is how you end up in the mortgage business. People who
Okay.
have no idea what they want to do, but they want to make good money, go into the mortgage business.
Absolutely. Well, they
Yes.
legalized marijuana in Missouri, so I feel like everything's an environmental science thing. I was just in the post office today, and I was like, "Whew, man!" Someone walked by, and it was like, "Bam!" Like it happens all the time. Like I get that you wanna go to that other place, but
Uh-huh.
you got to do something. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Like it's
used
1 o'clock on Tuesday, man.
yeah. But it's like in the 80s when the teenagers would smoke, they would have their Dracar or something they would spray on them. It's like, but
Right.
people these days are like, let's go. We're just gonna get everybody high.
Right.
Yeah. So so let me ask you this. Take me back to, are you from Houston? You had mentioned Houston.
No, we lived in Houston for 5 years. I grew up in North Carolina,
Okay.
and then I lived in Northern Virginia for about 25 years. And my husband was transferred. He spent his last 5 years of his career we spent in Houston.
Okay. S-
Yeah.
So I've only been in Houston once. I went through the airport in the summer, and it was a level of heat. And I come from Kansas City. It gets bad. It was something that was out of
Listen,
this world.
they say, how do you move? How do you live in South Florida? I'm like, go live in Houston.
Hey, there you go. Feel that heat. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So when
It's the
you were,
most humidity I've ever experienced. In
oh,
Virginia and North Carolina are humid, and I live at the beach. Yeah, it's
yeah,
more humid than the beach.
it was unreal.
Yeah,
So when you were a kid, what were these foundational elements that were planted into you that allow you to get to a point now where you're helping people find their essence? What do you think happened early on that led you through this career to find your place now?
yeah. I knew I definitely wanted to be independent, take care of myself, and I cannot remember a time when people weren't telling me to be serious. Like, stop playing, be serious. Stop playing, be serious. I was the baby of three. We have a little sister that's 10 years younger than me, but for the longest time, I was the baby of two older siblings who competed like with math problems and shit, right? Like they're super smart. My sister has a PhD, and I was always the one that was having fun. And so when I got into my career, it was like, okay, work is for work, fun is for fun, everything's serious. And we were all just we worked so hard, we were so intentional. Like, and I felt like everything had to be hard. Like, if this isn't hard, it's not worth it. I have to prove myself, I have to prove I can be here, that I belong here. And so I created a life that was very successful. I owned my own home. I made really good money. I had really good friends. And in a lot of ways, I was very unhappy because I had disconnected from myself fully in order to do the things that I thought I had to do
Hmm.
to earn that success and to earn that enoughness. And so at a certain point, I think you either find your way back to connection or you become a pretty miserable person.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting when you mention your siblings and the competitive nature. The other day, my son had a Chicago Bulls game on for some reason. I'm like, whatever happened? How long did it take for Michael Jordan to get at the Hall of Fame? So, long story short, I see his speech, and he mentions that he has two older siblings that were
Hmm.
so competitive. And he just looked in the camera and he said, "Now you guys know why I was so competitive." Like he literally was pushed to the hilt because his siblings were so over the top and had to do everything better. So he, being the youngest, had to figure out a way to beat them. So that's why he became who he was. And it's
Yeah,
like all of it starts. It's why I always ask this. All of it starts early on with levels of who we are that just kind of evolve to where we're at as adults.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, they were very competitive with each other and very good at it. So I just did something different.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, there's no way I'm winning at that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, for
I'll
sure.
be over here.
So, who has been that inspirational force or that hero in your life that's allowed you to navigate and find your way today?
I'd say it was a lot of different people, that I met along the way. I had some really good coaches. I had a lady who I went on a healing journey with that was amazing. My Nana has always been a force in my life as far as she's a person who changed a lot from where she grew up, and I really like that. I like it when people can change their mind because I've
Yeah,
changed my mind so much and it's meant so much to me to like, from where I started, from where I grew up and where I am now, it's a very different place.
yeah.
And I think it's important to be able to do so. I mean, you don't have to abandon whatever you don't want to, but I think being able to see things from different places and understand something from a different point of view is very important.
So, how did all of these jobs that led up to the Joy Experiment, how did all of those fundamentally make you feel like you were ready for this step in your life to do what you're doing now?
Um, it was a bit of a journey. Like when I decided I was ready to leave the mortgage business, I had started business coaching a little bit. And then it was pretty apparent I'm not a systems person. I need supervision. Let's be clear. So I was like, why am I doing systems? Like, this isn't the right spot. So I just kind of let it meander a little bit. My husband was trying to figure out if he wanted to stay in Houston and work longer. And I'm like, listen, we got to figure this out because I need to do something. And I'm in a physical place here. So I was like, okay, let me get out of a need to be in a physical place. So do some remote work, whatever. I really got into marketing quite a bit and helping people with that. And that was kind of a gateway, I would say, because at that point, I already knew that a lot of the things that made the mortgage business so hard for me is that I went against my strengths. I just went, okay, this guy is successful. Oh, Joe's doing really well. I'm going to do whatever Joe's doing. Well, we're not the same person.
Yeah.
And so I would just try and shove myself into these containers without considering, is this something I'm good at? Is it something I want to do? Does it fit within my values? The coaching I got there was very legacy centered. I'm not a big legacy person, but it just felt like the right thing to do. So when I was coming out into marketing, I could easily see if you don't stick in what you like and where your values are, where your strengths lie, you're going to end up with a business you don't like.
Hmm.
A wise person once said, you can't have an unhappy journey to a happy place.
Yeah.
So, so that I started redoing all my marketing around that. Like, who do you actually like working with? Who do you naturally attract? What do you want to advertise? And somewhere in there, through my healing journey and just really being back open and reconnecting with myself, it became apparent to me that it was a deeper work. That it's not just a mindset, it's your whole being, it's your body, it's your mind, it's your spirit that need to be in there together for you really to enjoy this and have the life that you actually want.
So, when you look at the landscape of business, is there anybody out there that you would love to meet that exudes that level of joy? Both I mean, we can only know so much personally, but in
Right.
their life and what they're doing in business, kind of that good mix. Is there anybody out there that you would love to meet and talk to that might help you on your journey?
The most joyful person that's so successful, is just in my mind right now, as silly as this sounds, I'm going to take you back to the Olympics.
Yeah.
That girl who won the Olympic gold medal in ice skating,
Oh, yeah.
it's like, I'm just having a good time, people.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm like, well, you go, sister. Love it. As far as business right now, somebody on a national stage, I would say I'm really enjoying Kylie Kelsey's podcast. Not that I don't identify a lot of the things she talks about because she's a mom and I'm
Yeah,
not a mom,
yeah,
but just how she's like, okay, they said I could do this and I'm having a good time doing it. So okay, here I am
yeah,
doing my thing. I love Mel Robbins, although I
yeah,
feel like a lot of times she's still very stuck in the idea that things have to be hard.
yeah.
Um, yeah, there's some people out there. Who else? Brene Brown seems amazing to me always.
So
Yeah.
Kelsey, that's Jason, that's his wife, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
seems like she's gonna do what she's gonna do, and he's kind of he's his own entity. He can kind of be a buffoon and do his thing, but she's like, I'll be here, but you go off and do whatever you need to do, get it out,
Yeah.
you know?
Like it's just all kind of relaxed, you
Yeah,
know? And
yeah,
not in a way that I think what we see that's unfortunate is the majority of the examples out there we see are unhealthy
yeah,
in a way that people have forced themselves into containers that maybe that's not what they really wanted and it was hard because being disconnected from yourself is hard.
yeah,
And so you get into a lot of these conversations where somebody says, "Oh yeah, I got here, but boy, it was hard." And I won't say that my 20s and 30s were super easy for me, but I was definitely way outside of myself.
yeah,
And so you see this theory that if I connect to myself and I do what I really want, I'll just be lazy. It'll be a mess. And it's not true. I think that if you're emotionally regulated, which is a lot of what I help my clients do, like let's regulate your nervous system, let's regulate your feelings so you can feel them, and then really connect with yourself. Nobody really wants to just lay on the couch, or
right.
nobody really wants to just argue with their spouse all day, or be unhelpful or not contribute. Most of us really do want to find purpose. In fact, I will say all of us want to find purpose and meaning in life. And if we can connect to ourselves, then we can truly connect with others. And all that stuff just kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah. I remember, being a Gen Xer, I remember there was a real drive in my 20s in the group that I was around. It was all about substance. You know, it's fine if somebody wants to make money. You have to make money, but there was more of a drive of traveling and having deep, meaningful conversations and having this level of depth. And I think when things move really fast and society tells you go, 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 earn, earn,
Hmm.
earn, you start losing all of that, the depth of why we're here and the fact that we have a soul that needs to be fed. I think you get to a point
Yeah.
at some point in your life where you're just almost dizzy, like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
And then you have to come back in and say, what is that truth? So you gotta, I don't know, you can't let the light go out. You always got to keep that light on in
Right.
there.
I feel like anytime I'm truly connected to myself, urgency is rarely necessary.
Right. Yeah.
And the other name for the mortgage business is urgent. Everything is urgent.
Yeah.
When in fact it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Most of
So
it's not even doesn't even matter.
were you there when the bubble exploded?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you went
Yeah,
through that.
I did. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
I got a house right before that happened. It
Okay.
was right before the election, right before all that happened, and I remember just thinking, wow, just how bad that would have been after the fact.
Yeah, it was crazy. Because we were doing, of course, we were doing all the stated income loans and all those type of loans. They call them subprime, but it was all the stuff that was being sold on the secondary market, in bulk or whatever. And Um, I worked for a company that was owned by two guys. It was a local company, and the main owner came out of his office one day and said, "Nobody do anything. Stop." We're like, "Stop what?" He's like, "Stop everything," because we weren't sure if we were going to have a credit line the next day. He's like, "You can't close any of these loans." How like I had people purchasing homes to move into, and like we were closing tons of business. He's like, we don't know what's going to happen. We have to stop." And we didn't do any deals we didn't close any loans for about a week. And then they slowly started picking back up. But then for a long time, there was nothing. I mean, literally, I think for, oh my gosh, at least a year, we were just trying to fight to keep our heads above water.
Wow. And
Yeah.
the other time that I got involved with the house, I moved in January of 2020, and I thought about that too. Because if it would have been just a month or so after that, it would have been COVID and nothing was happening, and it would have been a
Yeah.
different world. So it's wild how that industry, how much it reverberates out and affects all of us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, what is the energy for you every day to help transform lives, to take care of your soul, your family? Because it can get dark with people. People have
Hmm.
things that you got to muddle through and figure out. But what is that energy when that alarm clock goes off every day to be like, all right, I'm doing it at a high
I,
level?
t I tell you what I do every morning when I wake up. First of all, Joe, the only reason the alarm clock goes off next to me is if I'm going somewhere on a flight that I really want to go to. But I have a really good internal clock. I wake up at about the same time.
Yeah,
So there's that. But when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do, and this was a big transition for me from the mortgage industry. We had left. My husband retired. We moved from Houston to Florida, and I was back in marketing, and literally like nothing in my life was stressful. Nothing. And I woke up one morning and I just could feel myself like I'm late. I forgot something. I didn't call somebody. I didn't do something. What do I have to do? And I'm like, you know how your inner you sometimes goes, hey.
uh-huh. Yeah,
He was like, nothing. You have nothing to do. Literally. I'm like, wow. And so just getting myself to relax into that fact. And
yeah.
it's something that I go through with a lot of my clients when we talk about like regulating your nervous system and getting yourself into appreciation. Because all the things you say you have to do, you don't have to do any of them. You choose. You choose to get your kids out of bed. You choose to feed them. You choose to take the dog out. You choose to pay your bills. And we know we choose because we know people who choose the opposite. It's a choice. And
Yep.
it's a choice you make because you wish to. Yes. Maybe you go to a job that you don't necessarily wish to or whatever. But when you take that ownership, when I took that ownership of everything I do today, I will choose to do, then I could start relaxing in. And every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do, I think of how do I feel? I feel really good. I really like my sheets. It's cold in here. I love that. Right? My husband's over here.
Yeah,
Or if he snored too much last night, I'm in the other bedroom and I'm glad that I'm in the other bedroom while I can hear him snoring.
yeah.
Whatever it is, just those few minutes of appreciation that whatever I do today, I appreciate these things and I'm in choice. And I appreciate that I have choices.
So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight and you ran into the 18-year-old version of you ready to go out into the world and charge hard, and you had a big, huge book in your hands, and it was a coffee table book, and it was the life that you've lived so far, and you handed it over, would that young version of you believe that your life turned out this way?
I think she'd laugh her ass off. Yeah. I don't think she'd be like shocked, but she's like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you give any
Yeah.
advice?
To my 18-year-old self?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I would tell her she's enough.
Okay. Yeah. That's what we need to hear at that
Yeah.
point, you know, because the world's your
Yeah.
oyster. So, of everything that you've done, accomplished, evolved to, overcome, what are you the proudest of?
Oh, what am I the proudest of? Um, I would say that I took the chance to do this
Yeah.
because it was scary. I still regulate my nervous system on it. Like I have a workshop coming out next week and I had some scared scared me nervous system work to do with it. But yeah, I'm glad I took the chance to reconnect to myself and to do what I want.
So, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends,
Hmm.
clients, colleagues, everyone in your life, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I am? I think I'm a person who loves to have a good time. I'm a very good friend. I'm a very caring friend. I'm a writer, but that's probably a label, not an identity.
It
Um,
can be.
yeah, I'm very curious. I like that about myself.
Are you a cat person?
No, I'm so allergic to cats.
Okay.
Ooh. No
because they have
kids.
that curiosity. That's
Yeah.
their through line. So let's say you walked into a room that of everybody that's known you in a business sense throughout your career, and
Hmm.
you swim through that group and you go to a podium, and you could tell that room one fun story. First concert you went to, best sporting event, jumping out of an airplane, outrunning a bear. What would you tell that room? A fun story. What would you tell them?
A fun story. It's funny you bring up jumping out of an airplane. I was just telling that story yesterday in a group. And here was the awesome thing about it when I think about it, they were like, "Oh my God, how did you get up the nerve? Whatever, what." I'm like, "You know what? We didn't get up the nerve. We just said, 'Hey, do you want to do this?'" I was with my brother and my niece, and she brought it up. And she's like, my brother's like, "Well, we can go tomorrow. There's a place around the corner." And I just picked up my phone and I booked it. And I went to my niece. I'm like, "You gonna go?" And she's like, "Yep." It's like, don't wait, just do it.
Yeah.
Because if we'd have thought about it,
Uh-huh.
if I'd have said to my husband, "I'm going to do this," he would have been like, "Whoa."
Right.
My brother's wife was a little bit unhappy. And so it's like, just do it. We
Just
wanted to
go.
do it.
Yeah.
And we did. And it was great. It
Yeah.
was amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's say you get into a time machine. You can go back in time and see one event in human history. What would you love to see? I mean, you can go in the future too. I wouldn't advise it at this point.
Right. Yeah, who knows? Okay. So one event in human history. Um,
And
I would see one of,
it won't create
hmm?
a tear in time. You just get to see it.
Right. I really, really, really wish I'd have gone to see Taylor Swift in the Eras tour. I'm kind of mad at myself that I missed that. I had a chance and I was like, shouldn't have skipped that one. Um, what else? Like in all of history? Gosh.
But my best friend from, I mean, he's still one of my best friends right now. He was going to take his daughter to go see that show in Kansas City and got a ticket. Somehow something got screwed up. So he contacted the media and really put Ticketmaster to the test. It was such bad PR. Within minutes of it airing, they called them back and they got front row seats.
Oh my gosh.
He was
That's
like,
amazing.
I hadn't heard the story until months afterwards. I was like, what are you talking about? And yeah,
Right?
so his daughter is like, now he will be the hero for the rest
Oh
of
my gosh. Of
existence.
course. I gotta see, there's some Olympic moments I really wish, like, I wish I would have seen Mary Lou Retton. I loved
There
her
you
so
go.
much.
Yeah.
I think like I'm trying to think back like in ancient history. I think it would have also been really cool to see the Wright brothers fly
Yeah.
that plane the first time
Oh yeah. That would be a trip.
over there in North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into the good business. If anybody wants to reach out, they want to get involved with the Joy Experiment, they have questions, hiring you, any of the good
Yeah.
business, where do they go?
They go to the joyexperiment.live. Joyexperiment.live.
Okay.
It's
That's
all
easy.
there.
Absolutely
Yeah.
easy. What a great time. Thank you so much. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun, Joe. Thanks.
Absolutely. You bet.